Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have a seat over there.
This one?
That's you.
Thank you. Okay.
How are things?
Okay.
Yeah?
How about you?
Yeah, so far so good.
Very good.
So far so good. So, like we said, we'll talk a little bit, and
Yeah.
people will weigh in, and we'll just go back and forth. Some of us have heard the concept and know the concept of microcredit, microfinance, but just for those who don't, take us back to the beginning and how you built a foundation for that.
Well, it happened accidentally, actually. I was not planning for it. I was teaching in one of the universities in Bangladesh in the middle of 70s, in extreme circumstances in Bangladesh with famine, hunger, and everything. So I was trying to see in the village next door if I can be of any help to anybody, to see I am relevant to anybody. So I did a lot of small things going to the village next door, and I saw the loan sharking in the village, giving tiny loans to people, and then kind of controlling their life, extracting everything from them. It's so ugly. You see it every day, and you feel terrible that human beings can be so cruel to each other. And I was fuming that nothing can be done. It's so entrenched system. Suddenly it came to my mind, I can do something. And the idea was very simple. Why don't I lend the money? They don't have to go to the loan sharks, and their problem will be solved. So I started taking money from my pocket. I started lending money to them. They were very excited. And everybody came around to take money from me rather than go to the loan shark, and become bigger and bigger.
You would think that the loan sharks would be pretty pissed off that you were cutting in on their business.
Well, loan shark is something, they have a strange kind of conditions. You give the money and give conditions that whatever you produce, you have to sell it to me at the price that I decide. Yeah. So she has no control. The other person has no control. So or person who is borrowing money didn't have anything to say. Whatever he got, it became a slave labor for the loan shark. That's what the loan shark client relationship all about. So that was what began, and it became bigger and bigger. Then we thought, why don't I create a bank out of it? Because it's becoming so big. So I started trying to find out how to create a bank. It started in '76. In 1983, we made into a bank, called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank, and then expanded.
When you were teaching economics. Did you get a sense that the stuff that you were teaching not only wasn't resonating, but just wasn't working in that part?
I felt that whatever I'm teaching in the classroom, it's like a fairy tale. You know, it looks beautiful, everything's so nice, so elegant, but it's not working for people. Right next door, we don't have to go someplace else. You come out of the classroom, suddenly you come to the reality of life, which is so different. Your theories have no meaning in the lives of the people who are hungry, who are struggling to survive, and those kind of situations. So I said, maybe I should not press those ideas, the theories too much. Why don't I be just a normal human being to see if, as a human being, I can be of some relevance to somebody.
There's a lot of people who are here tonight who are today who are in situations where they're working in a space and they know that something isn't right. Something isn't like resonating or helping people. What was the process like in your mind when you were trying to figure out what you could do? Was that first loan, like, was it time?
I didn't have any big thoughts in my mind. All I was saying that I was feeling a sense of uselessness. Those things that I teach, these are empty things. So why am I doing this? While I see things so horrible right in front of me, it's not, I don't have to go someplace to see it, right there. Yeah. So that out of sense of uselessness, I thought, why don't I just see if I can be of some use to somebody, even for one day. So that's what took me to the village next door and see what tiny little things I can do. I was not aiming at any big things. But accidentally, this thing came into my eyes again and again, and I reacted to it. And reacted in a way, again, out of kind of desperation, not in a pre-thought, pre-calculated way. I had no idea of how to lend money to people. I just took the money. Okay, you take the money from me. You don't have to go to loan shark. You don't have to complain about it. Let's go ahead, do it. So this is it. This is how it began, and I had no idea that it will become bigger. It will go to the next village. Someday it will become global.
When did you see it starting to work? Because the idea is that you give people small loans and they pay you back when it's right. It's not a debilitating interest plan like most banks. You basically, what did you say? You took the opposite of what a bank was doing, you just did the opposite of it?
Yes, when people see that I've created a very intricate kind of system which works so beautifully, they keep asking me, how did you do it? I said, well, I just look at the conventional banks, how they do it. And once I learned how they do it, I just do the opposite. And it worked. They go to the rich, I go to the poor.
Yeah.
They go to men, I go to women. They want to work in the city centers, big branch, big things, big building. I go to remote village. Grameen Bank, even after 38 years of its work, it still doesn't work in any city of Bangladesh. It always works in the villages. We have more than 85,000 villages. We work in every single village in Bangladesh. We have 8.5 million borrowers now. 97% of are women. So this is a bank which doesn't rely on collateral.
But that's important though, right?
It's
The
very
gender
important.
thing, talk about why that's
Absolutely.
important.
It's very important because I began to focus on women because I was critical of the conventional banks in Bangladesh, saying that look at these banks. Not even 1% of their borrowers happen to be women. So how can you justify such a procedure in your bank? So when I began, I wanted to make sure half the borrowers in my program are women because I was critical of the banks. Then it was very difficult to go to the women, to explain to them, to take money. They said, no, don't give it to me because I don't know what to do with money. Give it to my husband. So I said, oh my God, I'm trying to give it to them. Now they say, we go back to husband. I said, no, we stay with you, find out. And then it took us a lot of time. And my students who were working with me, trying to do that, particularly girl students, they were getting very frustrated, trying to persuade women. They don't want to take money, and I'm saying, no, 50% of borrowers have to be women. They said, well, why are we insisting on that? They don't want to take money because they don't know what to do with money. I said, don't take their words as the final word because this is not their voice. This is not their words. This is the word, these are words coming from the history which generated her. History created so much fear around her. So through those fears, she's talking about something which she doesn't want to get involved because she's not used to that. So I said, our job is to peel off the layers and layers of those fears. Someday, one woman will say, maybe I should try. If she tried, if she's successful, her neighbors become curious how she did it, and they want to do that. So another opening will begin. It took us 6 years to come to that 50-50 level. Then we saw money going to the family through women, brought so much more benefit to the family. Then we asked, why are we doing only to the men, or 50-50 men? So if it is so much better with the woman, why don't you concentrate on women? So we removed the whole idea of 50-50. We said, let's focus on women. Now we've got 97% women. And you took that idea in other countries. We are challenged to do it in other countries. They said, it won't work in our country. I said, okay, let's try. Similarly, United States, they challenged me that it won't work in the United States. We tried many times. It didn't work. They said, we have tried 500 different microcredit programs in the United States. None of them work. I said, you can do 5,000 of them and you fail. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. Simply it says you didn't know how to do it. So I said, wow, if you think that way, why don't you go and show it to us? Do it yourself. I said, okay, I'll do it. So in 2008, we started something called Grameen America in New York City, in Jackson Heights. And it became a beautiful program. Now there are 6 branches in New York City with 20,000 borrowers, 100% women. And that idea spread in other cities. Now we have 2 branches in San Francisco, 2 in Los Angeles, 1 in Boston, another Houston, Indianapolis, and many other cities.
Why the thinking to do it in cities in America? In Bangladesh, you don't do cities, right?
All villages.
And why here bigger cities?
In United States, practically, all the poor people come to cluster in the cities. Right. They're all over there. And in the rural areas, or somehow they have some activities going on. And it's a very concentrated population in the cities. So we are invited by the city. So they gave the money to do it in the city. So we went ahead. If any rural area invites us to do it in rural areas, we'll love to do that.
Yeah. In Canada, it's harder, right? it's hard in this country, isn't it?
No, it's simple.
Aren't there bank regulations all over the place here?
Well, you have bank regulation, you follow the regulations. It's all right. It's okay, we can do that. But here, we are not a bank in United States. That is one of the disadvantages for us because we can't take deposits. In Bangladesh, Grameen Bank take deposits and then use the money to lend money to the poor people. We never had to look for money from outside. Initially, there was some period when outside money came. But after about 10 years, we stopped taking money from anybody from outside. We just take the depositors' money and lend it out. Today, we lend out over $1.5 billion each year, and each year amount is increasing. And all this money comes from the depositors' money. But interesting thing is, this year, last year, for the first time, the total deposits of the borrowers themselves are also savers continuously. This is part of Grameen Bank's work. The total savings of the borrowers have exceeded more than $1.5 billion. So it's their money literally going back to them as loan and so on, and they can continue their work.
Yeah, I mean, your default rate is alarmingly low, right?
Yes, it's very pleasantly low.
What was it? One of the numbers I read was at one point it was 1%?
It's, for example, in all our work in New York City, United States, is less than 1/2 of 1% as a default rate. In Bangladesh, it's about 3% because it's accumulated over many, many years now. It's about 3% default rate.
The community angles.
But default rate doesn't mean bad loans.
Right.
Simply delayed payment, that's all.
But that's the rethink, right? So much of this conference is about creativity and really approaching things differently. Yeah. That in the financial world, we need that as well.
Yeah, sure. It's the same thing. That's a technical word, default.
So what do you do after you started it so long ago? Over the years, what needs to change now? Like, for a lot of businesses, they can get something off the ground, and it can be successful for a while, but rethinks have to happen, reinventions have to happen, times change. What are some of the challenges that you face now?
Challenges, one thing we have been talking about very strongly, that banking system has to change. It's a very unfortunate system for us, for the people, because it doesn't come down to the real people. It always stays with corporate bodies, big rich people, private banking, and so on and so forth. It never with the common people. So how to make banking to come down to real ground so that it covers all the ground? Because bank rejects millions and billions of people, so they have no way to get out of the situation, financial or economic situation they are in. Basically, you need a dollar to catch a dollar. If you don't have a dollar in your hand, it's very difficult to catch another dollar. But nobody gives the first dollar in the hands of the people who needs that dollar so desperately. So that's what the banking job was supposed to be doing. In the beginning, I was criticizing banks by saying, look, you have created a funny situation, a funny institution, because bank is supposed to be lending money to people. You do in a very strange way. You lend money to people who already have money, and you don't lend money to people who don't have money. You should have done the other way. Lend the money to the people who don't have money, and then after you finish that, then you go to the people who don't have money. So this is the problem, and we're saying, why don't we create an inclusive banking system where nobody falls through the cracks of the banking system so that everybody is there. So that's a very important part.
But that's different then, right? Because banks, even though we think their job is supposed to lend us money, it isn't. Their job is to make themselves money and save our money so that more money gets made. And we've elected politicians and created a culture that celebrates that part of the corporate world. Yeah. So how do you propose to get a government or a bank to see that?
When we did the Grameen Bank and everything that we did, we never had an intention of making personal money out of this for ourselves. We created all this to help people to get over the problems that they face. Right. And in that spirit, we created many other such programs to address other problems of the poor people. Finance is one, to help them income generation and so on. But their problem of healthcare. One of the first problems we saw in Bangladesh when I started doing in Grameen Bank, the night blindness in the children of the Grameen families. Children cannot see after the sun goes down. And I was shocked that such a thing could happen. Then doctors told me that this is called night blindness. It is caused by the absence of vitamin A in their intakes. If they take vitamin A, this will be cured, they will have a good eyesight. You can cure it either by vitamin A tablets or encourage them to eat vegetables. Right. So we took the vegetable option, tried to encourage them to eat vegetables so that it can be removed. Then they said, we don't have the seed to plant those vegetables. I said, okay, we'll give you the seeds. So we started selling seeds, made 1 penny packets. 1 penny, you get 1 packet of seeds. And it became very popular. Everybody wanted to buy those 1 packet seeds of different vegetables. And they loved those vegetables. As Grameen Bank grew, our seed business grew. At one point, we became the largest seed seller in the country. It's so flourishing. And in the process, night blindness disappeared from Bangladesh. It never came back. It's done. And we created many other things as we went on, one after another. Everything we tried to do in a business way, rather than in a charity way. We could have distributed free seeds and so on and so forth. But then you have to lose lots of money from the bank. I said, it's a bank for the poor people. They own it. We don't have a right to use their money for one pretext or another pretext. So we said they should be buying it. If they need it, they will buy it. And it's very simple. So self-sustaining way. So I like that self-sustaining way. We created a lot of such organizations. One, we have created eye care hospital for cataract operation. There are a lot of people in Bangladesh with cataract problem, but there's not enough capacity. And all the capacity is in a capital city. So everybody from the villages have to come to the capital city, do the cataract operation. I thought, why don't we create a specialized cataract operation hospital in the village? So we created one with 10,000 cataract operation capacity. And it became very successful. We wanted to cover the cost of the whole thing. If you can afford it, you pay full price, which is about $30 per cataract operation. And you get very beautiful service, surgeons and everything. And if you don't have the money, we do the same thing for $1 so that you can get the same service. So we cover all the costs, cross-subsidize. We make money from the top and give it to the bottom. So the whole thing comes to the break-even point. We came to break-even point in 4 years in the first hospital. So we felt very encouraged. We created the second hospital. That came to break-even point in 3 years. Then we put the third hospital. Now fourth hospital is under construction. So this is the kind of business we wanted to do, not for making money, but solving problems of the people.
That's all social business now, right?
This is called social business.
And this is the next step.
Company. This is the next step, which grew out of the experience that we have. Now that idea of social business is spreading around the world. It's coming from Bangladesh to other countries. We have joint ventures, like we have joint ventures with Danone, a French company, to produce yogurt with all the micronutrients, vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, so that if you eat this yogurt, children become more healthy because they suffer from malnutrition. Half the children of Bangladesh are malnourished. So we thought this is one way to solve that problem. Social business is a problem-solving company. It's not focusing on how much money I make. It's focusing on how to be sustainable, at the same time solve a problem. So this is a joint venture which does that. And now the social business ideas are spreading in other countries. That now we have social business company that we create. We call it Yunus Social Business Company. We created in Brazil, in Colombia, in Haiti, in Mexico, Tunisia, Uganda, Albania, India, and so many other places.
It's simple to say it, that it's not about dividends. I mean, an investor can recoup, but it's not about dividends.
Yeah.
But to get people to want to participate in that, especially people who, is that a challenge?
No, it's not a challenge. People like that idea. See, when you see an example, you can't resist yourself. There is something in you which comes out. And I give the example
so you believe in the goodness of people.
It's the goodness of the people.
Right.
Because people are inside. It's very supportive to see that if I can make myself helpful to others, I would do that. But I don't see everybody's making money, so I want to make money too. So why should I do something different? This is just by demonstration. The usual example that I gave, and it makes sense to people immediately, I said people always give away money. They create foundations. People have personal foundation, family foundation, company foundations, charity organization, NGOs, governments give away money. I said giving away money is always there. And to aim at those things that we are talking about, healthcare, education, technology, to help poor people, unemployed people. I said, philanthropy is a good thing. You are solving people's problem with philanthropy. One limitation of philanthropy is philanthropy money goes, does the work, but doesn't come back. So I said, what we did in a social business, we do the same thing. We send out the money, does the good job, but it comes back because we do it in a business way. Then this money becomes very powerful. It recycles again and again. So for the same money, you get a lot more done. Social business money, in a way, has only one life. Oh, sorry, the charity money has only one life. But social business money has endless life. So this is the beauty of it. You take the objectives of charity, objectives of philanthropy, and put a business to achieve it. So you use the business methodology to achieve charity goals. That becomes the social business. And people love that. Right. We can convert this charity money in some cases, not in every case right away, but in some cases it can be done. Right. And governments are trying, many organizations, bilateral donors, multilateral donors, all trying to solve problem of healthcare, problem of unemployment, problem of poverty, always giving grants, always going that way. I said, why don't you try this in a social business way? Because then it becomes bigger and bigger money, because in social business, your money comes back. So you can plow it back again and expand. And the company itself makes money. It is also plowed back into it. It expands. So it becomes a very powerful way of expanding your work.
You would think particularly conservative governments would love this approach, right? Like all governments should, but this is very in line with a lot of conservative thinking, isn't it? The idea of business working.
It's loved by everybody. I've not seen anybody left, right, center, whoever, says, no, this is the wrong way to do it. Because they see that it works. If you like businesses, if you like to achieve social goals in a business way, that I don't think anybody will say this is a bad idea. It's a good idea. People question me on one thing. If you are not making money, where is the incentive? Why should anybody be interested in social business? I said, they usually explain the only incentive in business world is the profit. And that's what the whole world turns around and moves and grows and everything. I said, I completely agree with you. Making money is a great incentive. But totally disagree with you that making money is the only incentive. There are so many other incentives in life. And I tell them that, look, making money is a happiness. You chase that happiness by making money. But making other people happy is a super happiness. You never tried it. So I'm inviting you to try that. And then you find out which one looks good to you, feels good to you. That's it.
Nice. We got microphones set up here. So we've got microphones set up there if you want to ask a question. Now, while you're lining up, I want to show everybody a picture. Can we put that email? I emailed you guys a photo earlier today. If we got that, we can put up. Okay, so you want to tell everybody what that is?
I can see that, yeah. Tell me what it is.
So, when he was 15 years old, he comes to Canada, Niagara-on-the-Lake. There was like a Boy Scout jamboree, and Professor Yunus was there on behalf of Pakistan.
That's right.
And you toured all around, and this is you guys in a prayer.
That's it. This is Niagara-on-the-Lake.
That's quite an event. Do you remember how people were, like, it must have been pretty interesting all of a sudden, a bunch of guys.
Very interesting. It's 1955.
1955.
As a 15-year-old, I came all the way from Bangladesh to come here to have celebrate with all the young people of the world getting together. It's a great opportunity and a great fun. This is the first time I came to Montreal at that time.
First time was through then.
After the Jamboree, we were given a big tour of all of Canada. So
what did you remember from Canada back then?
Lots of things. For example, we were taken to the vault of the bank to show us $1 million note.
Yeah. None of us have ever seen one of those. Maybe 3 of them.
Okay. And the Niagara waterfall is a fantastic thing for a young person to come to see. What a great thing. And seeing the whole country as it is emerging in the eyes to see what everything. Then we traveled all through Europe to go back to Pakistan at that time. We went by ship from New York to Southampton. So that's another experience. And then we went to Germany, to the Volkswagen factory, which just recently opened after the war closed down. And then about 3 or 4 years back it opened when we came in 1955. So the whole group bought 3 microbuses, and we drove these 3 microbuses all the way through Europe. We went wherever we wanted to go. We just looked at the map, which is the next city we want to go, and we went there. And it took us 6 months to get home.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Would that have
we had a lot of fun.
help inform your worldview, seeing the world so young?
Yes, indeed. And every day I was keeping journal, what is happening, what did I think about, what thoughts came to my mind. And it's all accumulated in this notebook that I've been writing at that time. And I forgot all about it because I got busy after I went back. I missed lots of classes in this college, so I wanted to keep up with them. About 5 years early, one of my family members discovered this note, the book that I wrote, and showed it to me. I said, my God, I forgot all about it. And everybody said, you must publish it. So recently that was published. There's a journal that the young traveler has wrote about all of Europe and commenting on every country, about every society, what is working, what is not working.
How to save the world.
Yes, save the world. So
we have a question right in the back in the middle there, with A, right in the back there.
Hi.
Hello.
I've noticed there's a lot of organizations that seem to be evolving bank arms of their company. Have you seen any examples of companies that are using the bank arm of their company as a finance lender for either the communities that they're working in or the countries they're working in, or even internally in their organizations?
Microcredit basically has remained an operation through NGOs. When banks tried to get in, many banks tried to get in or do get in, they do it 2 ways. One, they do it through the foundation of their banks. They don't want to involve the business side of the bank. This is one. Another one, they will lend the money from the bank, if they were doing the business side, they will lend the money to the MFI or microfinance institution to do the final lending. So that's the way they do it. Very rare cases, bank itself lend money to the poor people because they're somehow, it doesn't match with their business technique or something. So this is how still banking system has not gotten involved with it. With all long history and all the things that you hear about how effective, how interesting that microcredit is for changing people's life, still it's a kind of footnote in the banking sector. It's not a mainstream banking. So there's still a long way to go. One of the reason I gave, and I probably, if you remove that obstacle, probably it will be much easier to extend microcredit. I said, today's banking law is at fault because it created a law which allows you to create a bank for the rich. It doesn't allow the bank for the rich to do the banking for the poor. So we need a separate law which will allow to create bank for the poor. Then it will specialize in lending money to the poor people. So this is, I think, a legal home for microcredit is important because microcredit is not collateral-based banking. Conventional banks are collateral-based lending. It's so much involved in collateral that they cannot get out of that mindset of lending money without any collateral. They get very scared when we talk about collateral-free loans, despite the fact we can show repayment has remained very high all over the world in every single direction that you go of the microcredit.
Right over here. Yes, sir. Roosevelt.
Thank you. I assume that one of the main ingredients of your whole adventure was trust. You started trusting 1 or 2 people, they trusted you, and then it increased and they started trusting the system. If my assumption is good, have you seen other aspects of the community life changing because of that trust ingredient?
Yes, for example, whole Grameen Bank, 8.5 million people, is interlinked in a kind of relationship of trust between the bank and the borrowers and within the borrowers themselves. Because the whole thing is a building of a bigger family, actually. It's a kind of a huge family of interrelationship. We start with 5 women together in one circle, borrowers, and a bigger circle, which is about 50, 60 women, creates a bigger circle. And that relationship is very, very strong. And we came up over time something called 16 decisions, things they would like to achieve in life, and things that they would like to avoid in life. Like they would say, we shall send our children to school, make sure they stay in school. We shall not take any dowry at the time of the marriage of our sons. We shall not give any dowry at the time of the marriage of our daughters, which is a kind of a revolutionary statement to say in a situation like in Bangladesh, where without dowry, you cannot even think about getting your daughter get married with somebody else, because daughter's side must have to pay the groom side to that kind of thing. And we shall dig a hole, use it as a latrine as soon as possible. We'll set up a sanitary water-sealed latrine for us. So today, all the 8.5 million families have their water-sealed latrine, because this was missing element in the 70s and so on. And now, because the Grameen women are having their own latrines, the richer families are also, of course, by their families that, look, even the beggar woman has a latrine, you don't have a latrine. So they have to do the sanitation became a very important item on that. And about the children's education, nearly 100% of all the children went to school and continued. Grameen Bank gave them education loans. They went to colleges, universities, became doctors, engineers. So in one generation, you have whole history of illiteracy over generation after generation. Suddenly, you have totally educated, literate family members in the, among the second generation. So these are the things which came from the trust relationship that we did. Now we are getting another problem of unemployment among those young people who are coming from those families. So we started attacking that also. We said, look, you should change your mind. You always feel, you should not feel like you are just in a job hunting situation. You repeat to yourself, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job giver, I'm a job creator. And now we're saying that you become an entrepreneur. Who says you have to have a job? So we are creating a social business fund and asking young people to come up with business ideas, and the social business fund invest in your business. 100% if you need it, or 90% if you have 10% money yourself. So whatever it is, we are available. We invest in your company, and you go ahead, be successful. When you're successful, you pay us back whatever money we gave. Since it's a social business, we don't need to make any profit out of your company, so we're not interested in your profit. So you go ahead. Our job is to launch you into the orbit as an entrepreneur. And many, these young people are coming every day to become business person and become entrepreneur, and we provide the support from the social business funds. So this is what is building. So it's not just one-shot loan and you walk away, it's done. It's a lifelong relationship. You create, even now, spilled over to second generation. We want to make sure second generation is totally different, and poverty will never come back to the second generation again. That is the end of that's the last generation which ever had poverty, which is the previous generation.
You mentioned job. Thank you very much. You had, you know, the participants have been asked to deal with a particular challenge, and for Dr. Yunus, it was about turning job seekers into job givers. We have, later on, I'll read you some suggestions that people gave, and we'll get your thoughts on them.
Sure.
Let's go to a question over here. Yes, sir.
Mr. Yunus, I have a specific question. What are the most common barriers for social entrepreneurs when that want to get access to loans in developing countries?
Social entrepreneur is a big, wide subject, and their sources of financing could come many different sources. So it doesn't come from any specific source. Now there are lots of investors who are interested in financing social entrepreneurs, financing social impact enterprises, and so on and so forth. But we are dealing with a specific kind of business, which we call social business, which is totally delinked from personal profit making. So that is absolutely separate from any other type of activity that you know in the business world. So here it's all dedicated in solving problems. We say human creativity is so huge that if you divert this human creativity in solving problem in a business way, all the problems that we have in the world can be solved very easily. Because the moment we get involved in making money, our thinking process become a little bit on the side of making money rather than using that creative power for solving problems. So I said, all the human creative capacity right now is under the control of the business world, because business can use this creative power in the way they want, and they always wanted this creative power to make money for themselves. We said, if we could use this creative power, totally delinking from the profit idea and 100% concentrating on the problem-solving idea, all the problem can be solved very easily. So that's where we are trying to bring up the idea of social businesses, and many countries are addressing this in many different ways, and local ideas, local initiatives coming up. Recently, we had in Tunisia, we put in a newspaper and a radio station, an advertisement that we would like to finance social businesses. If you come up with social business ideas, we'll finance it. So, and we explained what social business is, what will be the maximum size of the business that we can finance. We thought maybe we will get 100 or 200 such business plans submitted to us. We were surprised within 1 month, the time that we gave, 2,300 business plans were submitted. So now we are sorting it out, how many of them we can finance, because we don't have unlimited money at this moment. So whatever money we have in the social business fund, we'll invest in that. Each idea is a very exciting idea, that you see that how people thought about it and how they are trying to solve. Some are marketing idea, people produce things but cannot sell. Things are dying down, handicrafts are dying out. So they create a marketing company to bring those things and sell at the place where they have a good market, and asking the producer to concentrate on producing. Don't worry about marketing. Marketing is our job as a social business. So that solves a major problem and many other ideas. So that kind of thing. So financing, we take care of ourselves within the social business world.
Let's go to the back there.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah.
I was wondering, as a social business, if you consider having competitors, do you consider yourself having competitors, and how do you approach that if you're all trying to do good?
Yeah. Let me explain it this way. For example, in many social business, we have very special kind of thing they have developed and so on. So we always tell everybody, in social business, we don't believe in copyright. We turned it around, we made it copyleft. So, meaning that we have nothing to hide, because we are not protecting anything for our own selfish interest. We are making it available so that you can use it to solve other people's problem. So that is the spirit in which we work. When we see, say, another company is trying to bring similar product like yogurt, for example, to address the malnutrition problem, we'll be very delighted, because we are partners in the same battle. Our battle is a malnutrition. Our battle is not between us. We are fighting a battle, a war against malnutrition, and you joined us, so you are our comrade. We work together. If you have some special knowledge, since we are on the copyleft, we'll show it to you. This is how we do it. If you have any trouble, tell us. This is how we solved it. So you create another kind of world completely. So you become a partner, you join hands with each other in solving problems. If you say competition, it is a competition of achieving the goal faster than your neighbor or your partner. That's all. It's not a competition to push you out. We are always trying to draw people into our territory, into the work of social business. We are not pushing away anybody, because that doesn't make sense. If you are solving problems, if another company comes in to solve problems, you shake hands with them. Excuse me. Thank you.
Question over here.
Yes. I was thinking maybe could you explain why charity doesn't work as well as charging a nominal fee like you were saying for the seedlings? Because I know there's an organization in Toronto called Free the Children started by Craig Kilberger, and he has the same philosophy that for all the wells they have, they always charge a nominal fee of water. For all the schools they open, they charge a nominal fee for the parents to send their children. And I just don't really understand why that works better than giving it for free.
It's working?
Yep.
Okay, it's working. I didn't say that charity has any problem with us. Charity is always welcome. It's a very important thing to do. But I'm saying some of the charity could be done in a way that it becomes more powerful. If you turn it into social business format. That's the point I was underlining it. For example, many governments give support to the people who do not have income, do not have work, as a welfare. I said welfare is a very important thing to take care of the people who are in distress, who are in problem. But at the same time, I try to remind the governments and the people, but charity, the welfare that given to a person to help is the phase one of the solution. It's not the total solution. Phase one solution is good, but you have to move into the phase two solution, which is the final solution, to take that welfare recipient out of the welfare. That's a very important thing to do. If you leave that person in welfare, gradually you will take away the initiative in that person. A person becomes dependent person. His or her family become a dependent family. And in that family, you have the second generation dependency. I have met people in Europe who are on fourth generation unemployed situation, fifth generation unemployed situation. For 4 or 5 generations, there was no attempt even to get out of that situation that they're in. I said, that is not a good thing for any society to do, to take away people's initiative to take care of themselves. So that initiative has to come. That's the only point I'm making about charity, so that it doesn't create dependency. But I'm not undermining the importance, great importance of charity, because that is very fundamental. But the next part is very important, to help them to get out of that situation. We don't do that. We leave them there. That's the problem.
We have about 10 minutes to go, roughly, just 10, 11, sir.
Hi, quick question. Just with a lot of the micro loans that you give out going towards starting businesses, what, in your opinion, was the most innovative or ingenious slash, like, what helped, which business, in your opinion, helped the community the most, like, just the most memorable, basically?
I didn't understand the question.
Okay, sorry. So with your microloans, giving them out to business startups, which business that you experienced helped the community or was the most innovative? Just which one was your favorite?
Usually people take the loan for what she is comfortable with, she's familiar with. And it's not, microcredit is not a one-shot loan. It's a kind of a lifelong relationship. Like I'm talking about the 8.5 million borrowers. They're, as I said, they're our family. We work together. She pays one loan back, she takes another loan, she moves on to higher level.
Which business did you see that you go, oh, well, that's going to have a really positive, we've helped finance something that's really going to change the community?
No, I'm saying what she will do it's what she's familiar with. It's not something we impose on her. Yeah. If you say, this is good for you to come out of poverty, you go there, she says, I don't know anything about it. I know how to raise chicken. Yeah. You are telling me I have to do something else. I don't know. So we are always encourage people to do exactly the thing which she is familiar with. And then build it on and see what others are doing. Then she has to find out if somebody in her group or in her center, the circles that she created, is doing much better, doing something else. Then she said, why am I doing this? Why don't I do this one? This is much better. So she has to come to that and learn from her. How do you do that? Why don't you show it to me? Like what we do in Bangladesh is a very common thing, something she's familiar with. As I said, raising chicken, raising cow, grazing vegetables, doing the handicrafts, she's familiar, making dresses for children, sell it in the market. When we come to New York, it becomes different. It's a hairdressing salon. She wants to do the hairdressing. She needs the supply. She does that. She's a good cake maker, pastry maker. She goes into bakery production. She takes orders from these anniversaries and all the celebrations. She makes cakes for everybody. Or she starts something for pet care, for taking care of the dogs and cats and so on. In Bangladesh, nobody will think about pet care as a business. So, but here in New York, it's a very thriving business. You do that. So each one has its own kind of environment in which you do that. But they have to learn from each other which direction they take so that it pulls them out of poverty very quickly. Cool. Thank you.
To the back.
Bonjour. As a social business, how do you convince investors that aren't necessarily socially minded to invest in your business? What kind of skepticism have you often heard, and how do you convince them otherwise?
Most common skepticism is about how can this business work if I'm not making money? Why are you asking me to invest in something that you are telling right now that we cannot make money out of it? So that becomes a very difficult thing, because we are coming from a world which is made up with business to make money. We are a money-centric business world. So everybody knows what business means. Suddenly some guy says, no, you can do business without making any personal profit for yourself. That kind of shakes them. They find it very difficult to accommodate them into their mind. But we said it's a very common experience for us. After people go through it, immediately people understand what we are talking about it. And one good example probably in that connection would be when we were trying to set up this Grameen Danone yogurt plant as a social business. This was through a discussion that I had. I was invited by Frank Ribou, the chairman of Danone. And in that discussion, mostly about Grameen Bank, and I said, why don't you start a business in Bangladesh? And I said it will be a social business. And out of that, we created that. It was finally, after long negotiations of several visits, we finalized it, what it would be. It was an investment of €1 million. And from our side, we'll put $500,000. From Danone's side, they will put $500,000, and we'll create the company. When the company was registered, our €500,000 immediately submitted, deposited. But Danone money doesn't come. Weeks go by, months go by, Danone money doesn't come. So we asked Danone, do you have a problem? Have you changed your mind? You don't want to do that anymore? No, they said, we are absolutely behind it, but we have a problem. What is the problem? Our lawyers stopped it. Our lawyers' argument is, shareholders gave Danone the money, Danone management the money to invest this money to make money for the shareholders. Now you are investing this money in a company which upfront says they will never give you any dividend. They will give you only back the money, original money. You are crossing the mandate of the shareholders. You cannot use this money from the company. So we got to stop. We cannot give you that €500,000 check. So does it mean that you cannot do that anymore? So no, we'll find a way. So several months later, they found a way. That is the story that I'm going to tell. What they did, they wrote a letter to all the shareholders before the annual general meeting. And they told how company is doing very well, how much dividend they are paying this year, all those good things about the company. At the end, they said, we are trying to set up a company in Bangladesh, and which will need €500,000 from our side. And this company will do this thing, will produce yogurt to address the problem of malnutrition in Bangladesh. So if any one of you would like to use part of your dividend money in investing in this company, please sign up. and tell us how much of your dividend you would like to invest in that company. 98% of the shareholders signed up. And as a result, they received 35 million euro. So it's very easy from in a textbook fashion, nobody will respond. No, who is going to do that? This is a concrete case. They didn't know. They were just asking for €500,000. It's written down in the letter that we need only €500,000. But there's such an enormous support to the whole idea that we can do something like that. They gave €35 million. And then it created a second round of problem for Danone. They started having complaints from the employees of Danone. They started getting letters from phone calls. Do you consider the employees in this company as a second-class citizen in the company? You ask the shareholders to participate. You never ask the employees to participate. So the company had to write another letter addressing all the employees. Would you like to invest amount and so on and so forth? Another €30 million came. So in total, they got €65 million.
Let's get another question here. Go ahead, sir.
So, hi, Professor Yunus. You've been tackling social issues in Bangladesh, such as food security, water security, health access to technology, and so on. But some people would feel that it's also the role of the government to tackle those social issues. I know recently you had some tensions between you and the government in Bangladesh, but would you feel that a position on the government in Bangladesh would allow you to more resources, more freedom, and would allow you to change the life of more people?
The way, it's not only Bangladesh, anywhere. The assumption is that we do the business, make money for ourselves, and government should clean up the problems that we create. So this is their government job. So citizens don't want to see that we can play any role. We had a serious debate recently in Sweden. It's one of the welfare state of the top quality that they take care of everybody. That's a Swedish kind of attitude. Now they are going to the problem of youth unemployment. So they invited us to discuss about how to address this problem in a social business way. So we discussed how we do that, and this is something they would like to get involved with. And every time this discussion, people feel uncomfortable that Swedish government is supposed to take care of everything. We are going into an area where Swedish government should have done that. I said, well, we can debate about they should have done that and so on. That doesn't mean citizens have given away all their right to do good things. And we are not taking away the right of the government. Let government do everything government can do. If there is something still left, as a citizen, I should go ahead and do it. That's a very simple thing. We cannot just sit on our hands and say, okay, this is their job, we don't have to do it. If citizens bring their creative power, all these problems that are lingering around us will disappear. Many things. You can list all the problems which each country has. You don't have to go all the way to Bangladesh to find problems. Any place, you see, problems are there. Problems starting with unemployment, with the poverty, immigrant population, indigenous population, drugs, crimes, problem of old age, problem of healthcare, availability of healthcare, and reaching out to the people who are unreached by different programs and so on. So that way, it's a very legitimate thing to work together with the government. Government is not our enemy. Government is our friend. So we should be working together to solve our problems. And each one would be supporting each other rather than feeling in signs of territorial right, that this is my territory, you shouldn't come here. That's not it. Government is not separate from the citizens. Government is only a kind of representation of citizens. So if the citizens want to work, they should be most welcome to do that.
And you think that you can play a role in ending unemployment rates as well, right?
Of course. My position is, I say, we can create a world where there shouldn't be any unemployment at all. The whole word unemployment should become unemployed. Yeah. That's the way we should be doing, because unemployment is not a natural thing to human being. Human being is all about getting things done. Did you hear about unemployment when we used to live in the caves? That some people are unemployed?
Yeah.
They are sending around applications and nobody's responding. It didn't exist. When did this unemployment come on this planet? When did we start applying for a job? The other day. Until then, human beings were doing things on their own. And they solved their problem. Nobody was unemployed. If somebody was unemployed, you'll be dead. Because you cannot do that. You go ahead and this is in our DNA. Something happened, we call this big, grand economic theory. All of a sudden, millions of people are unemployed. Billions of people are unemployed. We don't care, as if they don't exist. They are creative human beings. You cannot take away their right to do things, express their creative power. What is this unemployment? It's some kind of a spell on you. You can't move anymore. There's an invisible chain around me. Who puts this chain on me? We should be figuring it out.
Yeah.
Who has this?
We have one more question over here. I think we had one last question over here, right? In the blue?
We see more and more startups using the social business model, and some bigger companies, large-scale companies, launching social business projects. Like, I think Danone is a very good example of that. I was wondering what was your vision about how large-scale businesses and bigger companies could apply the social business. Do you see other example or a new way to go in this area?
Very simple thing. What I tell business people who come to talk to us, many are interested in doing joint venture with us, like Canadian company McCain. They came forward to say, can we do some social business with you? I didn't even know about McCain. So I was excited about it. I said, tell us what your company do. What do you do in your company? I said, do you like French fry? I said, yes, I like French fry. I said, if you eat French fry anywhere in the world, you know that this is McCain French fry. So I said, my God, you are big. So he said, well, we would like to do some social business. Now we have a joint venture in Colombia. We are growing potato in Colombia. It's a joint venture with McCain. And it's such an interesting thing. This can be now replicated in any country. The idea, the way this has been designed and done, not only can be replicated in any country for the benefit of the farmers, any crop can be designed in that manner. It doesn't have to be potato. But because McCain is a potato company, they gave us the knowledge how to do this. But this is a general knowledge, general kind of framework you can apply anywhere and change the life of the farmers in that fashion. So this is it. And we tell the big companies, you can do, for example, you have the CSR money, corporate social responsibility. You take some money out of your profit and you give it as a charity. I said, would you pause for a second instead of giving it a charity? Would you create a social business out of it? You see, you are giving it away anyway, and you have one-time use of the money. You are a businessman. Why don't you create a social business out of it and let it grow on its own? So this is one option. Another option, you can create, every company can create a parallel social business. Wherever it's working, they see around what are the problems of their employees, their neighbors, their city problem. They said, okay, we'll take care of this part of the city problem by creating a social business. Because we are a company, work here, we make our profit here, we want to participate in solving the problems that we have in this city, in this neighborhood, in this country, and so on. So it's a very easy thing. Every company can have a parallel social business company. We are encouraging them to do that and talk about it, and I'm very happy that I'm invited to talk to the business community, the Chamber of Commerce, or investment funds to talk about how they can integrate into it. Because they feel that they are not doing the things they are supposed to do, and they must open it up because there's a constant pressure coming to them, and they also feel very unhappy at the way things are happening with the business world. So how to make the direction of the business a little wider so that it's not all focused on making money and nothing else.
What a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Professor Mohamed Yunus.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Okay.